Thanks everyone for being here. We're going to talk about what it takes to play soccer in college. It's something that I think that it's not for everyone because it's such this big commitment and obsession. But for me, it was so transformative, and I really believe in the power of athletics, not just on the field, but off the field as well. Hello, Brooke. Glad you could make it. And so I think that I definitely encourage you if you have that fire in you to go for it. So for me, to play in college, you need three pillars. Pillars are going to be, so we'll talk about the three pillars. We'll talk to Coach Joel about what it takes and what characteristics he sees from players who consistently go to college, and then we'll do open Q&A if you have questions. So the three pillars. For me, it's going to be training. So it's just your development as a player, how good you can get. It'll be your academics. So off the field, your GPA, probably being involved in clubs to some degree. And then the third and very overlooked is you have to be your own agent. You need to take agency. You need to create a highlight video. You need to reach out. So let's talk about these in a little bit of depth. So with training, by far, the most important thing is just this relentless mentality, this obsession. I think every player, no one makes it to college that's lazy. You have to love to train. You have to love the process of getting better. I think when I see a freshman, when I see a sophomore who's good, I say, okay, you have 3 years, you have 4 years. And in that time, there's 100 other players just like you. And what's going to set you apart from them is that you have to put more hours into the football. You have to spend more time with the football, and you need to get better than them. In those 3 years, the clock's ticking. What can you do? And the last thing I'll say about this obsession is you have to enjoy training. It doesn't work if you're forcing yourself to go. You have to fall in love with the training process. You have to want to. So go out there and enjoy the time. Enjoy the time on the field. There's a Steven Gerrard quote where he just talks about his obsession.
I was obsessed with moving people out the way and just going into training in my car, obsessed to be the best player in training every single day. And if I didn't, I'd go home and think about it and try and do it again the next day. You have to be obsessed. And when you get that little sniff and that little bit of hope, you've got to, even though they're your teammates, you've got to be obsessed to move them out the way. And once you're in, they're staying out the way and they're not coming back.
And that's kind of what you need to be. You have to have this singular focus on getting better, So as far as on the field, how can we get better as an athlete, as a footballer? These are a few of my recommendations. I could talk for hours about this, but quality over quantity. You don't need to go out and spend 2.5 hours on the field. I think that you're probably it's a lot of leisure time. You're not training as hard. I like short, sharp sessions, and then be obsessed with technique. So the contact you make with the ball and the things you can do with the ball are so important. So I encourage you, when you go out there, wall work is so valuable. Working on that first that striking the ball in different ways. Your instep, your laces, mastering that. Also, your first touch is crucial. When you receive the ball, what can you do with it? Can you control it? Can you manipulate your body in different ways? That first touch you take with the ball is crucial. Juggling and finishing, put in a lot of that 1v1 work. I also really, really encourage players to play futsal. I think I consistently see really good players who play futsal. That's 5-a-side, small-sided. You can definitely find some pickup, or better, find a futsal league. I think Bladium also builds a lot of players. I believe in gym work. It's harder to get people to do gym work because I think a lot of players, they love football and the gym is just boring to them. And it's a time investment, but I think in 6 months, if you're consistent, you'll see the difference. You need to balance it. You can't only do gym and not do football. And you can't go once a week and skip a week. You need to be consistent 2 to 3 times a week, every week. But if you get strong, oh my God, does it impact your game. It really helped me a lot, and I believe in it. So I recommend squats, RDLs, split squats, pull-ups, core work. And then I like plyometrics, so bounds, depth drops, hurdle hops, skater jumps. And then try to sprint at least twice a week as well. I mean, the gym doesn't replace your sprinting, it supplements it. And then the last thing I'll say is recovery is very, very important. You want to be an athlete. You're learning to be an athlete. And it's not just on the pitch. It's what you do off the pitch. So I recommend doing a little yoga session twice a week. I recommend stretching every night. I recommend doing band work for your ankles to keep your ankles healthy, get the blood flowing, foam rolling, eating clean. You have to learn how to be an athlete in all aspects of your life, not just in the hour, the 2 hours you train. So last thing I'll say is sustainability. The three killers I see are burnout, injury, and complacency. So on one point, if you just, I'm good at soccer, I'm just going to be good at soccer, there's going to be people who outwork you. And you cannot afford to have that mentality. Even if you're the best on your team, you're a small fish in a little pond or a big fish in a little pond. And you have to keep your eye. Expect that your competition is training somewhere. And you need to push. You need to keep trying to get better. Don't be complacent. But on the other hand, you need to be careful with this kind of incessant training, this obsession, because you can burn yourself out. Emotionally, you can lose the love for the game. So I don't think it's bad to take a week off. I don't think it's bad to take 2 weeks off. Heck, you could even do another sport, in the off season. You need to be careful about preserving this fire that burns in you and finding ways to feed it. You want a steady blaze. You got to be able to throw logs on the fire. You can't just let it burn out. And then the last thing, this is huge: injury. So many good players do their knee or they do their ankle, and they're out and they come back and they're not the same, or it's always a risk. You don't want that to happen to you. And so you need to listen to your body. You need to learn how to know when to back off. You need to learn how, when you get a little niggle, how to rehab it properly so you come back stronger, not weaker. And quality sleep, good nutrition, learn to be an athlete and avoid, you got to dodge injury because it's a very real possibility. This is a tough game. So academics. I always say 3 things about academics. The first thing is, if you are below a 3.0, I don't think you will play in college. That's just probably the reality of things. Now, if coaches are looking at you and they're looking at another player of the same quality, they're going to go with a player with higher grades. It's never a bad thing to have high grades. That's going to help you a lot. So I encourage players to shoot for at the minimum 3.7, at the minimum. And you can do it because an athlete is tough, and if you bring the same mentality to schoolwork, you can do it. I say there's a saying in boxing, when a champion gets the title, he becomes so much stronger. He becomes 20, 30% harder to beat. And it's because when he has that title, it starts to impact him. Oh my goodness, here's the Zoom. 30 minutes, that's okay. Yeah, so when the champion has that title, it starts to impact him. It feeds into his mentality, and he starts believing himself to be the champion. And I say, with football, you don't carry a belt, but it's the same way. If you're really that guy, if you're really a true champion, it's off the field as well. And it's a desire to be the best you can be and to carry yourself in a certain way, and that applies to grades and to academics. So I think for every athlete, the expectation is you're on the field, you're an athlete, and off the field, you're a student athlete. You have to put the time in, you have to get good grades. You should want to apply yourself. Then the last thing I'll say is there's a quote by Cardi B. I've pulled out a few words, but it's not cool to be a loser. You're going to have a life after athletics, and you don't want to peak with your soccer career. You want to be able to have a job and a family and a career. So get good grades, go to college if you can. Last thing, be your own agent. So I think there's this dream among high schoolers that they'll just play football and the college is going to swoop down from the sky and scoop them up. That's very, very, very rare, and especially rare in Oakland. More likely than not, you are going to have to advocate for yourself. So the first thing is you build a highlight tape. By the end of senior year, you need to have a highlight tape. Your game should be recorded, and you got to track down those recordings. You need to pull any plays you make. The second thing is you need to contact coaches. So the highlight tape and contacting coaches, they go 1 and 2. A coach is not going to take you serious without a highlight tape. So get your tape. But the second thing is you need to do the legwork. You need to find schools where you think you could play, and you need to contact them. And then the third thing I say is goals and assists. Junior and senior year, start thinking about goals and assists. It's a numbers game. And then we'll talk about JUCO versus direct. So highlight tape, my recommendations. At the start, include your name, your age, your positions, your contact info. You can also include your 40-yard or 100-meter sprint times. If those are good, I think that's a good, we like fast players. Lead with your best clip. Lead with some goals. Okay, you got to catch their attention. And then use Adobe Premiere Pro. You can get a student trial, and you can highlight yourself. So you can see here on the right, that's what I did. And this it makes it so much easier to follow the action. So that makes a big difference. With contacting coaches, So don't expect anyone to do it for you. If you want to play in college, you need to start carving out that time to email coaches to let them know. Junior and senior year, mainly senior year. You got to annoy them until they give you a trial. Now, the trial, it's not a guarantee. It's your stats, your emails, and your video have gotten you the opportunity. You need to go in and impress them in the trial. And then the last thing I'll say is face-to-face matters. If they're not emailing you back and you think you can play at that school, try to go out, catch a game. After the field, you wait for them by the fence and you say, hey, coach, you got a minute? I'm a prospective player. That's how I got my opportunity in college. It works wonders. Just go out, shake their hand, and then give them your number. Yeah, numbers matter. Get good goals and assists and starts. And then on JUCO. So JUCO is junior college. It's community college. I went the JUCO route. I think it's fantastic. I encourage a lot of players to do it. So the first thing I'll say is if you don't get selected just out of high school, JUCO is a chance to keep playing. This is such a beautiful game, and you don't get to play forever. You really don't. And so you get 2 more years at junior college, and that's a really special thing. And if you love football, it's good to do that. I don't recommend it for players who have opportunities to 4-year immediately and who are not responsible. Because in community college, no one's going to be babysitting you grades-wise. So if you start getting bad grades, if you stop showing up to class, that's on you. Your dreams will die with you. And then the last thing is when you're in junior college, you have to be getting good grades. Mediocre doesn't do it. To transfer to a 4-year, you're going to be in competition, even with reaching out to coaches. You need to get in by merit of your grades alone, and then you can try the walk-on process. The coaches will not like you if your grades are not stellar. 4-year and direct, if you're a star boy, if your stats are crazy, you might get some offers. You're going to have to do the legwork, but you might get some offers directly from high school. If it's a good fit academically and financially, 100% take it. See if they'll give you money. Don't put yourself in debt to play. I really recommend junior college. I can't say that enough. So, once again, just to reiterate, 3 pillars. Training. Be obsessed. Be relentless. You have to have more fire in you than the next man. You need to, for the next 4 years, you have to work. The difference to carve yourself out from the next person is the work you put in. I will say I do coaching. It's not a big deal, but I want to see you succeed, whether it's with me or without me. But if you want coaching, that's fine. I'll plug myself. Academically, have good grades, and then be your own agent. The coaches aren't gonna find you. You have to contact the coaches. So I really appreciate everyone being here. I know it's hard to carve out the time, and the fact that you're here says that you really you care and you're invested in your future. And if you think this is for you, by all means, please do. So I'm gonna turn it over to Coach Joel. Joel, I guess the big question I have for you is what does it take? What traits do you consistently see in top players who make it to a 4-year?